Alright everybody, one of the videos I'm sure everyone's just been dying to see. And honestly, I've been researching this one for a while now to find out what is the best way to replace the oil seal that sits on the transom side, basically right behind the gimbal bearing. I've got a video that I did about a year ago that kind of shows how to remove this. The problem is I removed it with the motor out, and I know a lot of my subscribers out here that are watching this don't have that luxury to take out your motor every time you need to replace this seal. Alright, so what I've done today is decided to put together this video for you all to show you how it is that you get the seal out with your motor still in the most easiest possible way. Believe it or not, the answer is it's free. Alright, so you're going to love this. I'm going to go ahead and put the seal down. Alright, so when you think of pulling seals, right, one of the first things that come to mind is using a seal puller. This is a traditional seal puller that you'll see. I've got one already out of the box over here on the right. But these will not work for the OMC. The problem is they work on a concept of leverage, and you just don't have that ability when you're inside of that bellow to kind of move it around and get enough leverage. So this option will not work. The other option, which one of my viewers recommended, is using a crow's foot. Now essentially what you would do with the crow's foot is you would attach this little guy and basically fit it under the lip of the seal. So just to give you a quick demonstration here. If that's how it is inside the transom seal, what you would do is you would try to fit this around kind of towards the back. You'll probably need a bigger one than this 18 mil to do it, but that's kind of what they recommended. I tried it, I gave it a shot. Not really a big fan of it, but if you have those around and you want to try it, you'll probably need a significant size one like this. My only problem is you might not have enough bite to get behind it with the way that these are situated. But just know it is an option if you're watching this in your backyard and you're trying to do this with a headlamp in the middle of the night, and you do have some crow's feet and you're desperate as hell. That's an option for you, but not one that I'm going to recommend, fortunately. But just know that that is an option. If you've got one of these or thinking about buying one of these, save your money. Definitely not going to work. Let me show you another option that I've seen that is completely wrong, and that's using these guys right here. I'll see some people, what they do is they try to get underneath the lip of the seal right there, just like that, and basically just try to pop it out. Yeah, it's going to scratch your aluminum surface in there. Same thing if you try to put a Phillips in there to try to pop underneath this seal to get it to crush. Also a bad idea. If we were, if we were working with a steel surface in there, sure, why not, right? It's kind of hard to mar up steel, but it's a very soft aluminum, and this needs to be, pretty much a watertight seal, right? So if you're in the back of your boat right now and you're watching this video and you're desperate and all you have is a screwdriver and a big flathead and you're thinking about using that, don't do it. You'll regret it. If you watch or read some of the forums out there that people have tried to do that, they instantly regret it. So, alright, so here's your first regret. Don't do that. Don't buy a seal puller. If you've got a crow's foot, give it a try, but that's not my recommendation. Let me show you now the official recommendation that I have that will allow you to get this seal out in less than 1 minute. And when you see this, you all are going to absolutely love me for this, okay? So let me go get it real quick. Alright, here we go. So, I mentioned earlier that this was free, and it is free. The reason is, if you go to a place like AutoZone, O'Reilly's, that have a slide hammer, they will oftentimes let you rent this for free, but you have to put a down payment on it ahead of time. And then you get your money back after you've returned it. The part number in question today, 27026. It is a slide hammer, 2/3 jaw puller set, made by OEM. All right, let's open it up. When you go to, AutoZone or one of these places to go get this and rent it, before you leave, mark my word, if you haven't been burned by this yet, don't say I haven't told you so if you decide to just grab this and leave. All right, here's what you need to do. Open it up and inspect what is in the box before you leave, because you have to have certain key components in the box. Otherwise, you'll get home and be even more frustrated that you got this tool and it didn't have the claws, for example, or you're missing a bolt, or, this guy right over here. So I'm going to show you real quick what you need. So double check you got the 3 little OEM pieces here. Those are 27026. You need 3 of those in there. 3 bolts. This little swivel device here, you'll need that. This little guy, and the actual slide hammer itself. A lot of times I've opened these up and there's only the slide hammer in there. That will not do you any good. This little piece right here, you don't need that. I recommend just these 3 bolts, this little guy, this one, and then the slide hammer. Let me move the box, put all the pieces down on the bench so you can see how it is that you need to attach all this to make this whole assembly work. Okay, here we go. We got everything set up. So first thing you want to do is grab this little guy and start attaching these puller arms. Now when you're installing them, you want to face all the puller arms where the notch is facing outwards, like that, okay? So let's go ahead and get those attached and use the appropriate bolts first, and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. All right, there you go. Don't bother tightening these bolts other than hand tight. You're completely wasting your time if you do that. Just keep them loose. You'll have this thing back in the box before the time it would take you to tighten these things up with a crescent wrench or whatever. But notice how they're all facing outwards like that, right? All right. So the next thing is you got this little guy. You can put it in 2 ways. You need to face the cone outwards like that. All right. So, and you can put this wrong. If you do put it in wrong, you'll know real quick, because you won't be able to put you won't be able to pull your seal out. So spin this for, about halfway through. Alright, cool. And take this guy and just roll it on. If you don't have one of these tools to rent, like I said, just consider using the crow's foot. But when you see how easy and how effortless it is to remove the seal with this tool, you're going to be so surprised. I know I was when first time I used it. Alright. So I'm going to spin this for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring this to the back of the boat, and I'll show you what it looks like when I install it. Alright. Alright, so as you can imagine, you want to take these 3 little pieces here, bundle them up together, and use one hand to kind of slide this in through the seal. Afterwards, then you can play with this, but make sure it's far enough back where these will collapse all the way, because that's your initial goal here, right? So let's go ahead and first get this in, and then once you get the puller in, what you're gonna do, just because I know you're physically not going to be able to see this, is once the puller's behind the seal, just start spinning this. And there is enough room to do it, by the way, so don't think that there's not. Start spinning this cone down, and what's going to happen as you're spinning this little cone down, if I can do this right with one hand, is these jaws are going to start to stay, they're going to start to open up like this, forcibly stay open, which is going to grip the edges of that oil seal. Alright, so that's the trick. Just make sure this is somewhat loose, and then get all three of these in there, and then tighten this up, spreading that these jaws out like kind of like so, but obviously not as much. Okay, so let's go ahead and slide it in to that little seal. Alright, so you can see here we are in the seal as it's supposed to, and what I'm going to do is turn, see if you can see it, this little collar. Get my hand out of the way here. I'm just going to turn the collar until it tightens those jaws all the way open, and then kind of lift it up like this. You can see we're in there. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tighten that up. You can see it should be pretty easy from here. Alright, so it's tightened all the way up here. I'm going to stand to the side a little bit, try to do this with one hand. Let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3. Check that out, everybody. I'm telling you, work smarter, not harder, right? Let's bring this over to my workbench. Okay, so you can see with the old seal, came out pretty easy. And like I said, the trick is once you get it in place, oh, look at that, I actually missed one, and it still pulled it out with just 2. So there you go. You can even do it with just 2. But yeah, you just go ahead and loosen this collar up. It should come right off. And that's how you get that seal out. A lot easier than damaging it with a screwdriver. That's my opinion on it. You can see this is kind of greased up here. When I had put this in about a year ago, I used an axle grease to get this out. When we install this one, just because my users, like I do, read the original OMC manual, and they tell you not to use a triple guard grease on this. They tell you to use the gasket sealing compound by OMC. So that's the official recommendation. You can see with this one I use the axle grease, and seems fine. But you know, for those of you who are watching this that are by the book type people, probably would want to use the gasket sealing compound. But there you go. That is the tool, slide hammer. Stay away from screwdrivers and any other kind of odd tools that you may be thinking about using in your backyard. Trust me, as you saw, I think I got this out, what, 3 whacks? That's it. And you don't have to worry about damaging the transom at all. So, as always, I hope you all liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're a new viewer. Plenty more videos like this coming up. And yeah, have a good one. Take it easy.